Hello, Capricorn, and welcome to Indigo Rising Tarot. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you're having a great day. This will be your weekly reading for the week of July 27th through August 2nd. And during that time, we'll have a waxing crescent moon. And that's a really good time of heightened senses and just executing the things that you've just begun on the new moon, buckling down, just getting to work and being focused. We then have the first quarter that comes in on the 2nd, August 2nd, and that can be a time when we feel a little bit impulsive, impatient. Maybe your mind is very active and it's just kind of hard to focus. So I think that arrives on the weekend, so maybe that's better. But just keep those moon energies in mind as you move through your week. And if you need to practice patience on that first quarter moon on August 2nd, then certainly put that into practice. All right, this will be an intuitive general reading for the energies that you may or may not encounter, Capricorn. So, of course, please take what resonates and leave what doesn't for someone else. And your overall message for this reading: you and your loved ones are safe. All right, let's see what the Capricorn Collective has going on for the week. As I'm shuffling, my weekly reminder this week is that you take time to meditate, go within, still yourself, quiet your mind, and just explore. If this is something that you already do, then you know what I'm talking about, and what just what a benefit it is to your life. And if not, then maybe it's a good week to try to start working, some daily meditation into your routine. So even if it's just a few minutes a day, go ahead and try to do that. It's really funny. I'm talking about meditation, and the card that turned over here on me is literally the Four of Swords, which is about resting meditations. So, just an inkling there of occasionally how tarot, not occasionally, all the time, how tarot works and how you're like, okay, these cards are awesome. All right, the cards are starting to fly on you. We're going to take, we're going to turn this, well, maybe we're going to take these cards. They're just trying to make an appearance here, so we'll go ahead and add those to the top of the deck. All right, let's get into this reading then without further ado. Capricorn, July 27th through August 2nd. You and your loved ones are safe. So we'll take these cards here right on the top that tried to come out. Overall energy is the 10 of Wands. So it looks like you're pushing through to some sort of ending here. This is kind of wrapping things up. This is moving forward, like one final push. You've got the weight of the world, but you're pushing to get this thing just accomplished and done. And of course, tens are endings, but right after endings are new beginnings. So looks like you've just finished something up, or it's your current energy to be doing that final push there. Your current situation is the Fool. So of course, again, perfect card to come out with an ending is a new beginning, like I said. So, oh, there's my kitty. So yeah, that final push here with this 10, but new beginning. So it means you're off onto a new journey, something that's just wrapped up for you. At the root of your situation is the Wheel of Fortune. So that's perfect as well, because this is about evolving. This is the wheel in the sky that keeps on turning, and tomorrow is a new day. You wrap something up, and this is kind of, you do that, you do the evaluation, kind of look back on where you've been, you make improvements. You kind of, and look towards the future. You look towards, what is the next thing to do? I'm going to act on this ending to get ready for this new beginning. So perfect card for that. In your recent past is the Sun card. So, wow, lots of, we've got 3 major arcana on the table now. So this could be just a major energy shift for you this week. Anytime I see 3 or more major arcana. But, you're moving into this, whatever this ending, it looks like it was something you were wrapping up. It's not a bad ending. It's something that was just the end of something happy that you were, happily focused on. And now it's just an ending, and you're going to move forward with a new beginning here. What is on your mind this week is the King of Wands. So you might be taking time to evaluate those passions of yours, as you make decisions on your next step here, in your new journey is, what are the things that really drive you in the passion sense? what lights your fire, what makes you want to get up in the morning, what excites you about the things that you're working on. So that's very exciting to have that kind of an energy where you're considering that passion, that's on your mind, considering that, you really want to narrow down and focus and do the things that really, really matter to you. So that's pretty awesome. What is just ahead of you this week is the Page of Cups. So you're definitely going to have, kind of a light sense of humor about yourself this week, and that's never a bad thing. I see this week as being kind of a light thing for you. Like I said, you're wrapping something up, starting on a new journey. You're starting to evaluate and think about things, and the whatever this wrap up is for you was a good happy thing. It's nothing, like I said, it's nothing heavy or bad, and so you're just kind of in a very light jovial mood this week, which is awesome. In your advice position is the Justice card. So again, with the theme of these major arcana coming out, this is card of truth, perfect order. This is, equilibrium, being fair, things that are fair, factual, kind of in line with the law. This is a card of like virtue and dignity and grace. So, your advice is to think about those attributes, think about those truthful attributes, when you're in fairness, when you're thinking about your new journey and how you're going to go on it. You're wondering what drives you passionately, but make sure that what is driving you is also driving you towards perfect order and towards, some sort of maybe truth that you're working on, maybe internally. Make sure that your external world is matching what's going on with you internally and spiritually also. We should all be striving for that, for those sorts of goals. What is beyond your control this week is, yeah, moving towards the future with new thoughts and new ideas here with the Six of Swords. So, if you imagine that these are, new thoughts, new things that you're thinking, again, making those plans, looking, evaluating, deciding after that evaluation, what things you don't want to do, in the next cycle that you have here, and what things you do, and maybe things that you want to add or try, depending. It's not really showing me through your cards here that this is anything related to, there's no pentacles on the table whatsoever as of so far. And it's major arcana, and and wands, a lot of passion that we're thinking about, but here this is about thoughts and communication. So be thinking about that, what things, and like what I was going to say there was, this is a template. um and tarot always is, it's not saying that it's over your work life, but it very well could be. This could be about work, this could be about relationship, this could be about your spiritual path, this could be, it's a template for, an ending and a new beginning here in some area of your life, although it's not specific to a certain area for any one of you. This will apply to different people in different ways in different areas of their life. So, but beyond your control to be thinking about the future like that and moving through in calm, very calm emotional waters. You're not worried about the future or rushing into anything. You're just kind of, thinking those new thoughts and moving yourself forward, but again, very, very calmly, and making those evaluations and those decisions. What is your secret desire, or what you're trying to avoid? Is here's our first pentacle, the Knight of Pentacles. So this is action in the material realm. And are you trying to avoid that? And I mean, it looks like where you are, you're kind of in evaluation. And like I said, there wasn't one pentacle on the table before that. And maybe you are trying to avoid that, and that's quite fine. If you're trying to avoid action, in the material realm, in the financial realm, this could be, anything really work related, because you're focused on other things. That's okay. If things are fine there, then, it's okay to avoid that. But you need to, this is your big question of the week. Maybe it is your secret desire to change something in that material realm, to change something about your job, about, how you're working, how, do you want to move into a different position? Do you want to improve on the position that you're in? So this is the card about that sort of action, and this is just your big question of the week. And either answer is fine. It's just what you're going through, is to avoid making any such changes in that area, or if it's your secret desire to make some changes, then to maybe start thinking, start doing that evaluation on how you want to move forward in the future. All right, in your outcome position, there's a little bit of dissatisfaction here with the Four of Cups. So, there may be something that is kind of emotionally dissatisfying, and it's not that you're, dissatisfied. It's almost like you're dissatisfied with the offering, right? So, um, there just may be something that the universe is kind of bringing you on an emotional realm, and it's maybe, I get the feeling that maybe it's something that's harder to look at, something that you maybe avoid, and that might be part of your new journey is, and I would put this in the realm of, maybe if you know that you need to do some sort of shadow work, or there's something about yourself that you need to look at and improve. And that can be hard. That's a challenge for any of us to do, is to make those admissions and go, oh, here's where I'm not doing great. And let me, what can I do to improve that? And maybe it's, it could be anything from your sense of humor, your communication skills, again, putting those passions to work, you know, um, making sure that you're staying focused on the things that drive you and not distracted by things that don't. It's a problem that we all have. So, but it could be anything like that. It's just that the universe is offering you something, and maybe you're just not super thrilled about needing to face it, but it might be something that you do need to kind of work on. What is hidden from you here at the bottom of the deck this week is the Death card. So that's fine. I'm okay with that being, we've got this final push, and maybe it means that this ending here isn't quite that final. Like, you're just kind of still working towards it towards this week. And again, you've got this Wheel of Fortune here, which is about evolving. And so this ending is probably going to evolve you onto this Full card, right? And so you might not quite be there, and that's why this. I mean, here's the final ending, right? So your final ending may be just out of reach for this week, and so maybe next week that's something where, like, you're pushing towards it this week, and next week you might be like, okay, now we're completely done. So keep that in mind. Let's get a final word here from the Soul Oracle deck. I'm going to go back to your overall message. You and your loved ones are safe. So I think all through this, whatever's going on, and I mentioned this with your Knight of Pentacles, if things are stable at your job and that's not where your focus is this week, that's fine. The same thing when it comes to, maybe your family life, personal life. This sounds like something that's more personal, it feels like, on this reading. This is like internal work that you're doing, and it's okay sometimes to put that focus on yourself and not be all focused. Everybody's okay, and everybody around you, and that's good, and it's time to focus on you for a little bit. And if that's the case, that is just fine. You are allowed to do that. All right, final words here from the Soul Oracle deck for Capricorn. Don't push the envelope. And that could be pushing on this ending. Like, if this is going to come to some natural ending, you're able to see it, just let things go ahead and play out, and let that ending come about. There's no need to push really hard for it to end. Just let it end naturally. All right, let's get a self-care wisdom card for Capricorn. What does Capricorn need to do in the realm of self-care this week? All right, your card here, it says power, and it has the words good girl crossed out, like not the good girl. The ability to suck it up is not a superpower. Saying no is. Own your power. Yeah, so there may be something that you need to say no to. I'm thinking about this card here. The ability to suck it up is not a superpower. Saying no is. So there might be something that, yeah, you're saying no to this, and that's perfectly fine. If you're not happy with what the universe is offering you, like I said, this could be, if this is more internal, and it may be trying to offer you a look at something that is difficult to do, and you can say no to that, of course, if it's just not a good time. If it's not a good time, if you're like, I'm just not ready to do that yet, that's also fine. But make sure that you're thinking about that. If there's something that's coming up that you maybe do need to take a look at, and at least get it on the calendar. If you say no to it this week, at least think, I need to put this out there. Maybe it's a little further out in the future, and that's fine. That's fine. You have the ability to do that. So Capricorn, I wish you luck with everything that's going on in this reading. Again, an ending, something coming to an end, maybe not finally this week, but working towards that. And then really thinking about this new journey that you're about to embark on. And again, it could be in any area of your life. Remember that tarot is a template. It could be for some of you about work, for some of you about a personal, maybe a relationship issue or family issue, or it could be some passion project that you're involved with all, a lot of wands in this reading. So but it looks like kind of a, it's a good transformational week. And again, probably it looks to be more internal than I'm seeing other people really involved. This is really just something about you that you're, transforming and changing about yourself to make your own life better in the future. So once again, Capricorn, thank you so much for being here with me. I hope there was something here that you can take away and use in your week. I do readings every week, so come back next week and we'll see if this energy continues or if there's a completely new energy here for you. Also, if you like my reading style, please hit the like and subscribe button. It really helps my channel, but more importantly, it'll help you find me next week. So thanks so much, Capricorn. Good luck with this, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.